Philip is back.
Philip!
Philip! We're glad you're back.
Did you walk all the way again?
Just part of it.
Old fool.
Ellen stayed in Kingsbridge, together with Tom. I thought I had lost God, that he did not watch over us. But now I see him every day. He is in the good we do, in how we show our love. Jack's hands had become rough, his hair gray, but his eyes still burned bright like hot coals.
It's good to see you.
Aliena's gaze could be as stern as her father's had been, but her heart and wit made her a leader people did not follow out of fear, but out of respect and loyalty.
Jonathan told us you had a visitor.
Just an old friend.
What do you think of this window?
Jonathan came to look more and more like his father, Tom. As Prior of Kingsbridge, he is also a builder of sorts.
I use mostly warm colours. What good are the large windows if it feels cold?
Sally is as stubborn and as gifted as her parents. It is her stained glass windows the light is falling through. She has children of her own now.
And I'd like to show you the plans for the new cloister.
Tommy will be the next master builder, and is as silent as his grandfather was. Once I heard him admonish his father to be more serious at work. Jack only smiled. He knew Tommy was right. Martha stayed in Kingsbridge as well. She was always there for every one of us.
Is the judge done now?
I don't know. Why don't you ask him yourself?
Is the church done now?
It will never be done. Not in my lifetime. Not in yours.
Remember us for what we did, for who we were, and maybe for what we tried to be. And when you turn your eyes to our cathedral, maybe you will see yourself.
The end! You answered Waylarin's question about God, and you have finished playing the Pillars of the Earth. So, I enjoyed Book 3 a lot more than Book 2. Should I let the music... let you listen to the song? Okay. the kind of generic soundtrack behind now. So yeah, having played the 3, I think I really didn't like the second one, and I think because it was just so dark and depressing, and I think I was thinking about it afterwards, and I think a better word is hopeless. Like in other games where bad things happen, it's okay, I've got a degree of control over this. I can struggle against this. I've got a chance of having an impact. Whereas so much of this is just bad. So much of the last book was just this bad thing happens, that bad thing happens. This is terrible. This is awful, and there's no kind of I can do something about this. And I think if you stripped away some of those things, like not the destruction of maybe not the destruction of the market, but you strip away some of these other things where he's like, no, I'm not going to fix this, I'm not going to do that. You then get to you then kind of cut out, you make the game shorter, which I don't think it necessarily needs, but you take away a lot of the kind of pointless hopelessness to it. In this book, I think there was a lot more kind of, it felt like we were achieving things and doing things even in a small way, like finding Jack, working on the cathedral. You find the chalice, and then you start working on who's that witness we need for the trial. I remember I can't remember what it was, but there was something in the trial where it's like, you did this, and it's like, no, I did not. Like, Remedius not being happy with you giving the herbs rather than praying, I think makes sense. It makes sense, and it's here's an action you've taken, here is a consequence of that action. But I think I remember there being something that I'm fairly sure I didn't do. But, you know, I'll find out again in editing, or maybe when I upload it. And maybe people go, actually, you did. And I think that's part of the problem, is some of the choices didn't really match up with what I actually did. So it seems a bit odd. I think some of the consequences. I think there's also. I think I also mentioned it. This kind of talking through this book. Trying to balance a hard narrative, like they're adapting a book, so it's got a single narrative line to have these kind of choices that matter. Kind of idea. You can't have the choices can't actually matter that much if you're still trying to follow that single narrative line. Because I actually did look it up after the session. After book 2, I did actually look up, and Tom dies. Tom can die, I should say, can die in book 2. So here in book 3, obviously he can't do as much, and I was thinking it's really odd. Why doesn't Tom review Alfred's plans that caused the destruction of the collapse of the second cathedral? You've got he's put the stone roof on that Tom had previously said that's a bad idea. He doesn't look over those plans and go, or even see that there's a stone roof being built and go, hey, why are you building that? It's not going to manage that. You shouldn't put that up. It should be a wooden roof. And I think so. Yeah, I think that's the problem with trying to adapt a singular narrative to a kind of also have these kind of choices that matter, is the choices that you have don't actually matter all that much. Now there may be some characters who can live or can die, and that's kind of it. And that's maybe kind of where the kind of some of the choices mattering is, but you probably just the characters that can die. They just take very much a back seat. Like you don't really see Tom and Jonathan interact in the epilogue. There wasn't a huge amount. Well, there wasn't a huge amount after the reveal that Tom was Jonathan's dad. You only get the one line from Alfred, who's going to be alive. You don't have any kind of direct interaction between Tom and Jonathan, for example, because you have to allow for Tom not being around. So yeah, I think there are three kind of things they could have done. They could have done Choices Matter, which would have made it very difficult to do. They could have just done a point-and-click adventure game, which this seemed to kind of half want to be, and then you could have done just a visual novel, which this game also seems to half want to be. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe there's an entire video where I just don't talk, and it's just the game. And I think it would have been better if the game had just chosen one of those to be. This kind of choices matter, but they don't really, and his point-and-click puzzles every so often, and QTEs and this. And some of the QTEs I think work. Like some of the times when you have to be you have to be silent, it's a way to communicate being silent. It's just waiting. But there are other times where it's like, oh, I have to make a snap decision to reply. Whereas in other games, I'd be a bit more kind of like, I'm going to take a step back and just be a bit more kind of considered in my response. Because I have got options. I've got 4 options. I can't just say what I want. So yeah. And then there was one... I think there was one when we took Earl's Castle, where there wasn't a timer, and then it timed out and I couldn't pick a choice because I'm still thinking about it because, oh, there isn't a timer, I get to choose. So that was a bit unclear. Yeah, so I think overall it was interesting and kind of fun, and there are some games where there are multiple where you make multiple different decisions, where I wouldn't mind playing again, even if I know that I'm going to probably make the same decisions. This game, I don't really think I want to I feel like I've played it, that's fine, I don't really want to revisit it. Which is not really the kind of reaction you want. I wonder, if I click continue, where will it continue me from? Will it continue me from book 2? I'm just going to try this out. Oh, so it's here. I wonder if there's oh, we can't explore. I was wondering if we could explore a bit. No, that's it. It's just go and talk to Jonathan, which then leads us to talk to Wailerin and then go into the cathedral. Okay, so that's where it continues us from. So I assume if I wanted to continue this, I think I'd have to go through the whole thing. If I wanted to do a new book 3. I think, yeah, I know there's an element of, so you've got the statue of Mary, which is a miracle that isn't a real miracle, and Prior Philip's first book is about the church rigging ordeals for people they wanted to save. I think, and maybe that fits into kind of the narrative story of, oh, come on, brain. The narrative story of the kind of narrative, the point in the narrative of the book. But I think for this, where you've got Prior Philip as a major thing in book 2, losing his faith and questioning, is God there? Does God exist? Does God care? I think it would have been a bit more interesting. Because there is the question, is God using Bishop Henry to save him? Does that line up with the weird thing that Prior Philip was saying of like, oh, we're all God, people are God. God isn't this. God isn't in heaven. God is humanity, which I think is just such a weird and outlandish thought from as a Christian. I'll say that in case you hadn't guessed from the rest of this video, the rest of this series. I think I would have preferred it if it had been. It starts to rain. Like you have like it's cloudy, overcast day, because then you've got the three. It's a cloudy, overcast day. So it's a cloudy, overcast day, and then it starts to rain. And so you've got three kind of ideas. Is it just a coincidence that it started raining? Is this God saying something? Do the ordeals actually mean something and it's sent from God? Or is it the Bishop Henry? Is he trying to rig it by having it, oh, it's an overcast day, well, we'll do it now, because there's a chance it will rain and save Prior Philip. And you've got that kind of which is it kind of question. And I kind of prefer those endings in games like this, which have got a lot of kind of religion and philosophy, is just kind of leaving things a bit more open-ended, rather than we rigged it. Because politics. And appeasing the ordinary smelly peasants. So yeah, I think it was an interesting story. Book 2 made me... I've got a Goodreads page. I've got a Goodreads thing. And this book was originally on that, and I got through, like, at the end of book 2, I was like, I do not want to read this if this is what it's like. And I looked at reviews, and it was like, oh, right, this is actually not as bad as the book, apparently. So I immediately took that off. I do like Waylerin coming back, just looking at this, and I do like the fact that Waylerin comes back. And there's that kind of... He's changed. And I think I'd really like to explore that. I'd like to have, like... It sounds like it's... I think I kind of would like to have a bit more exploration about some of these thoughts. But I don't know how many people would actually be interested in that kind of game. Yeah. So, yes. So there we go. The end of Pillars of the Earth. Let's go back to the main menu, shall we? Return to the title screen. So yes, there we go. Pillars of the Earth has been done, and we will see what is next. So I'll put a poll out on Patreon and one on YouTube for the members there, and then people can vote on what should follow this, and we will find out what that will be next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for watching.